Hello, love. Welcome to Wildcard Wednesdays here on the Libran Key. These are messages for the highest and the greatest good of the ELSH collective. Empaths, Lightworkers, Starseeds and Healers, awakened and awakening souls. Know that if this video has found you, or that if you have found it, that there is something in here for you. That is always the intention of these messages, these videos going forward. I'm going to speak today. This is kind of going to be an amalgamation a little bit of setting up sacred space, setting up protection, and connecting with specific guides, okay? I had a request for this kind of across the board from, I think it was a couple different people. Now, I'm just going to I've already set up sacred space here, and from this sacred space and connecting with you, I'm pretty much going to speak to the practices that I know to be true, that work for me, with a big disclaimer here and a caveat that you also need to find what works for you. And that is probably where we're going to start off first. And then I'm going to ask any guides, any energies that want to come through to speak to this. I've already got Archangel Michael here ready to go, okay, to speak to this, and leaving it open for that. I'm not popping any cards today, so this is just going to be one of those messages, right? Allowing any energies that want to come through to speak to this, okay? So this goes back to Archangel Michael, knowing yourself, knowing yourself. And when you begin to do spiritual work, when you begin to connect with certain energies, it's very important to know yourself. And he's saying, know your limits in the beginning, okay? Know your boundaries. This goes back to the idea of having very healthy boundaries when it comes to when you begin to meditate, when you begin to do visualizations, activation work, etc., okay? Now, you always want to go with what feels right for you. And when I say feels right, I mean intuitively, like in your gut, for example, or just a knowing, like this feels like it's going to work for me. Where do you get a pull? Like I'm actually being directed to the heart space now. Where do you feel a pull, right? Because what Archangel Michael is now showing me is that the heart is a very good indicator of where you want to be in terms of setting up sacred space and making sure that the frequency of the sacred space that you are setting up is at a certain point or degree, is what he's actually showing me, that resonates with the kind of energies that you want to connect with, okay? Because that is part of it as well. So before we get into any kind of setting up of sacred space, it's very important that you clear your energy first, okay? Archangel Michael is actually showing me what looks like a waterfall of white light showering down upon you and directing me to selenite as we speak to this, because this is kind of what it looks like, this sort of white light energy. And this is something he's actually saying to me in the beginning, this is something that you can start with, okay? And this will evolve. It will evolve, right, for you. As you move forward in your practices, you might want to add things. You might want to change the color. You might be working with different energies. But to begin with, working with white light energy. This very white, I see it as electric light, if that makes any sense to anybody. It's glowing, right? It's a type of white light that has almost a charge to it, right? And it starts with connecting with yourself first, because white light is connected to source light. And source light is the ultimate light in terms of clearing energy and coming back to the frequency and the vibration of source that is within you. So how you might want to visualize this is starting in your heart space. And one of the best ways to be able to direct light energy is through the breath, okay? So we start by breathing into, for example, our heart. You can do this once, you can do this 3 times, you can do this however many times you need. I'm hearing 5 now, I'm hearing 7, like however, whatever again resonates for you, experiment with it. And especially in the beginning, keep it simple. Don't think I have to follow like XYZ steps, like to the perfect degree to do what works for you, okay? Again, this is a journey and you are connecting to what works with you and your energy, okay? Okay, keep on saying that. All right, so we're this is it's just really important, okay, because there's so much information out there about how to do this. You can pick and choose what works for you. You don't have to go by, you're not everyone is different, right? And while there, again, macrocosm to the microcosm, while there are certain principles that apply pretty much across the board, like for example, breath is incredibly cleansing. Breath can change your state immediately, right? Breath also gets you, especially if you're extending your exhales, whether you're breathing in for 4, holding for 4, and then extending the exhale to 8, as long as you're extending that exhale, you're engaging the parasympathetic nervous system, right? You're engaging the vagus nerve. You're engaging the nerve that helps you to relax and calm the mind. And that assists you in clearing the energy, because a lot of the clutter is up here, right? A lot of the clutter is up here to begin with. And then it resides in the body, okay? We feel it in the body afterwards in a way. So in doing this and setting up this sacred space, the first thing you need to do is clear your energy. You can do this through the breath with the intention of clearing. And I would invite you to create a mantra for yourself or a word you say with the intention of clearing your energy. Okay, you can start by saying something like, with each breath, I clear whatever energies that are in this energetic field, in my energetic field, not mine, and not in alignment with my highest good. Clearing that energy out. And you can do different variations of that. You could even just say, clearing, clearing, clearing. Clearing energies not mine. Clearing them up and out of the way. Okay? Whatever resonates for you, you're going to send that intention into what you're doing and into your breath. And you can even visualize what Archangel Michael is bringing back to me now, is this energy of source light raining over you. White electric light raining over you, dissolving down from your head to your toes, down into Mama Gaia, okay? Taking that energy. That's one way you can do it. You can also do it by seeing light filling your auric field. If you feel like there's a bubble, right, that's around you, breathing into that, clearing that energy, clearing that energy. You can also invite Source to take this energy up and clear it and take it from you and transmute it if you want. You can do that too. You can also, and transmute it into back into light consciousness, back into love, whatever you feel called to. And you can do the same thing with Mama Gaia. And you can take those energies and give them to her. I invite you, when you do get into this, to really allow yourself to feel what feels right for you. Okay? And then work from there. This is a relationship that you're establishing with yourself, your higher self, with spirit, with source, with Mama Gaia. You are establishing this relationship when you do this particular work, okay? So, other ways that you can clear is with crystals like selenite, okay? Citrine is really great to work with as well. You can use kyanite. You can use crystals, for example, that are very great cleansers, and crystals that don't necessarily need to also be cleared or cleansed themselves, okay? Carnelian is another one. That's interesting, coming to mind now. Maybe that works for you. Working with the crystal energies helps. Incense, that's another thing. Be mindful of the kind of incense that you are using, right? Where are they sourced? what traditions use them. I think that that's really important to do. That's a personal thing. But it's also honoring the traditions around these incense and how they're used. You can also do it through sound, okay? What I'm actually hearing right now is the sound of water. I'm hearing waves. I'm hearing water. That's just one example, okay? Putting on wave sounds, putting on frequencies. There's so many things available to us right now when it comes to this. Again, do what feels right. Visualize it, feel it. Use your breath. I think the breath is one of the most powerful ways because not everyone has tools available to them. And really, the magic and the power is within you, first and foremost. These tools are here to aid us and help us. And we also, at the same time, need to honor them and cherish them when we have them available to us in our lives, okay? So yeah, if there's any other things you want to add here, go right ahead, absolutely. I can't really think of anything like off the top of my head necessarily, but in terms of using those things, it helps, okay? Then we go into setting up sacred space, okay? Now, before you do this, you want to anchor yourself. And what I mean by that is, I refer to it as either anchoring or tethering, okay? We all have a pillar of light, right? That connects us to source, that connects us to Mama Gaia. Some people refer to this, and in the Theosophical tradition, it's that silver cord, right? That connects our soul to our body. It's all connected, right? And what again, do what feels right for you. And that could even change from time to time when you begin to anchor and tether. The idea is that you want to make sure that this pillar of light, before you go into any meditations, before you go into any readings, before you go into connecting to any guides or energies, or even astral traveling for that matter, okay? It applies everywhere across the board. You want to make sure that this pillar of light, your light, is anchored into Mama Gaia and anchored up and tethered into source energy, okay? What Archangel Michael is saying to me now, that this is actually one of the ultimate forms of protection when you are tethered and anchored. Yep, and he's assuring me again that when we are grounded, especially, and simultaneously tethered into source, but he's really pointing out grounding for a reason, because I think this speaks really timely wise to the ELSH collective at the moment, about being really grounded and centered. When you're grounded, you are centered. And that is when you tether yourself to Mama Gaia. That is when you get your feet planted on the ground. You feel all four corners of your feet, the energies of being grounded, the energies of feeling it in your, in the tradition of yoga, when we talk about Mula Bandha and squeezing the pelvic floor muscles, the rectum, the sex organs, and the navel, right? Feeling that energy, those three chakras, four, you could even say Earth Star. There's more than that go deeper into Mama Gaia. It depends on the tradition that you resonate with or that you follow, right? Or even, again, just what works for you, whatever's come up for you, whatever you see when you connect, right? If you've done that, for example, you always want to get tethered into Mama Gaia's heart, her crystalline core first, okay? So you can do this. There are a lot of traditions that focus on doing this at the heart, because the heart essentially is the bridge between the lower energy centers connected to the earth and then the higher energy centers connected to spirit or source, okay? You can do this again by visualizing or sending your energy down with your breath, sending your energy down your centers, okay, into your feet, your hips, wherever you're. Some people, if you're seated in a chair, we should get to that, by the way, because depending on how you're sitting, right, this is also important. If you are seated in a chair, your feet flat on the floor, back supported, that is probably the best, most supportive position to be in. And this helps you to keep that pillar of light open and straight, okay? Or you could be seated in half lotus. I don't recommend personally crossing your legs. I think that it's better to be with your feet sort of splayed one in front of you. Again, you're allowing for those energies to go right through you. But again, do what works for you and what resonates for you, okay? If it's difficult for you to sit without support, sit up against a wall, okay? And then you send this energy through your pillar of light, through your body even, right? From your heart, depending on where you want to start. Some people like to also start with just the lower chakras. And you send that energy right down into Mama Gaia, okay? Now, you can visualize this again, moving down however you like. It can fall like water straight into the heart of Mama Gaia, going through each and one of her beautiful layers of being, okay, right down to a crystalline core. You can see this as a spiral visualizing going all the way down, or just feel it. If visualizing doesn't work for you, feel it in your body. Feel your feet heavy, planted into the ground. Feel your root being pulled down into her, okay? And then you want to do the same thing with connecting to source, okay? Now you can choose here to either bring that energy back up, following your energy back up from Mama Gaia, moving through your energy centers again, all the chakras moving back up into the heart, and then coming up through the higher chakras, through your crown, heading into source. Now, source, it's really interesting because there's so many ways that people can connect and visualize that connection with source, seeing that connection with source as well, and how it shows itself when you are connecting. Go again with what feels right for you and what is coming to you intuitively, okay? Source is, it's source energy. It is, some people refer to source as like the grand central sun. That's used interchangeably, but basically it is this massive, massive source of light, okay? It is mostly bright white light. That is how it shows itself. But again, this, I leave that open to you in terms of how it appears to you, okay? And however it makes itself known to you, you will connect and tether your light into that as well, okay? I always love to, like, whenever I am guiding people through connecting and tethering into source, I see the pillar of light moving up through their crown, through the roof of their home or wherever they are, out into the sky, outside of the stratosphere, moving into the realm of the galaxy, right? Moving through the planets, moving through the asteroid belt, moving to the far reaches of this galaxy into source energy. That's where it is. But it's also right here within you. So do what resonates for you too, okay? Now, that light, once you connect it to source, you then bring it back. And this is where we get kind of a double clearing happening, but it's also an amping up in energy and an amping up in frequency, okay? And the way that I work in terms of whenever I'm doing readings or giving readings or sessions is, it's very important to connect to source, because source is, it's everything. It's everything in terms of giving you the clarity and the truth and the pure essence of source that you are again reaffirming your connection to. Okay, so it's very important that you do that. Now, again, however you see that, however it is presented to you, do it in that way. Ultimately, what happens is when you are connecting to source, when you are connecting to that energy, you're connecting back to the truth of who you are, and your resonance and frequency then shifts, right? It really remembers. That's what Archangel Michael's saying to me. He's like, it's just you're remembering who you are, truly who you are when you do this, okay? Now, once you bring source light back into your entire body, connecting it back into your heart space, right down into your feet again. You can even at this point feel the energies of Source coming down and Mama Gaia's energies coming up into you, almost like a cycle, okay? If that resonates for you, that could be something that we could talk about at another time if you're interested. A lot of this is connected to anchoring the light as well, as you can imagine. This is why in the reading, the last reading that I posted, where we talked about anchoring the light, it's the same. You know how to do this. Like, we all instinctively know how to do this as starseeds and light workers. We know. We just know, right? You've been doing it for lifetimes, right? It was the Age of Light that came out. That card came out, and that's exactly what it is. So you know what you're doing when you do this, okay? Now, once you have cleared your energy, you've set up this sacred space, before you set up this sacred space, or in the process of doing so, I should say, you've connected to Mama Gaia and Source, then it's time to set up sacred space. Now, there are so many ways to do this. I almost feel like we're at just over 21 minutes. I almost feel like this should be another video. But I'm going to give it a go here. Because I may have questions on this, right? You may have questions that you want to ask on this. So please feel free to leave a question in the comments section down below. When you are setting up sacred space, there's so many ways to do this. You can amplify your aura to, let's say, the space of your room or wherever you are, and create a shield around you that in which nothing that is not in your highest and greatest good can enter. And it's important to say this and say it over and over and over again, okay? Say it every day. So when you're creating a shield around you, it's very much the same way. When you're creating a shield around you, you're doing exactly the same thing. Like when you go out into the world, you're doing the same thing. This protective shield is always around you. What Archangel Michael is showing me is that essentially it's your aura. And this is why it's really important to, again, know yourself and understand that. And when he's saying this now to affirm you feeling your own energy and frequency and amplifying your aura, amplifying your energy, your energetic field for protection and strength. Again, going in with that intention of setting that up around you, okay? So when you do this, it is imperative that you set up the intention of setting up sacred space. You can also call upon guides to help you set this up. You can call upon Archangel Michael. He is the OG when it comes to this, okay? He is omnipresent. He is an archangel, and calling upon him, ask him, he's saying this to me right now, ask him to help you set up sacred space. And what he's showing me is visualizing him with his sword, with his energy, coming in to set up sacred space around you. Call him in for that and use your words. Use your words. You can say it out loud. You can say it in your mind, but say it, okay? Call Archangel Michael in for protection. Call him in for truth, for clarity, so that whatever messages you intend to receive in this sacred space, that they are true, that they are pure, that they are of the light of consciousness, okay? This is everything in terms of, again, he's saying intention, intention, intention. The moment that you have called him in, or whatever guides you work with, I'm also hearing guardians and wards here, so if that resonates with you as well, do so. Dragon energy is incredibly protective too. That's something that's also coming through. If you work with dragons, you can also work with guides that you know. You can work with other angels. You can even work with passed on loved ones, with ancestors, because sometimes you can even call upon what I'm hearing now is your guardian angel to come in and set up sacred space for you, okay? Now, when you do that, once you've done that, anything else that you are connecting to, you need to trust that what is coming through is in alignment with the intention that you just set, knowing that you're protected, knowing that it's true, pure, and of the light, or the light of consciousness. Okay, really, really important that you do that. Okay, you don't need to call just upon one. Again, Archangel Michael is like saying to me, like, you could call on all your angels, call on all your guides, call on your spirit team to come in and set up this sacred space with you. And you know what's really cool here is he's totally saying to me that right now this is something that is so unique to everybody. You just have to do what works right for you. Do what works right for you. And he's also saying that if you've heard things, and even like what I'm telling you right now, if you're watching this and something resonates with you, go with it. Just go with it. If you're like, yeah, that feels good, that feels right, go with it. And trust that the moment you are setting up that sacred space, you again are attuning to anything and everything that is in alignment with your highest good, making that intention when you go into that. Okay? And whomever you're reading for and whatever you're inquiring about, okay? He's also reminding me here, okay, the energies of Commander Ashtar also wanting to come in for this message. Thank you. Yeah, Commander Ashtar wants to talk a little bit about free will here. This is just a little extra add-on for this because maybe some of you need to hear this, right? Reading for other people without their permission or consent is encroaching on their free will. There's a lot of energy around that with love readings, for example. Now, here's the thing though. What he's saying is that we're human beings, we're souls having a human experience. We go out into the world, we pick up on energies around us. But that's very different than having the intention of reading for someone, trying to figure something out about someone. Okay? He's really wanting me to bring that up. I feel like this could be a whole other message. Absolutely. This could be a whole other message. But be very conscientious of that, is what he's saying. He's not even saying cautious here, because he doesn't want to like freak anybody out, right? But what he's saying is that the focus when it comes to setting up sacred space and attuning to source and being connected, when you're doing that with the intention of the highest and greatest good, right? You always have to trust in that and understand that when you do this for yourself, you are also doing it for yourself, and that whatever you do must be in alignment with that. And you really have to follow your intuition on that moving forward. I feel like that's a whole other message that wants to come through. I'm going to end it here though. And what I am going to do going forward is speak a little bit more about protection. For example, when you're outside of sacred space, okay? Because I have had questions about that come up too, with regard to how to, like, shielding energies. I had a really great question about whether or not, can't you just shine your light really brightly? Isn't that like just wanting to shine? Like that should be enough. And part of it is that, but the other part of it is that protection is the other side of that. It's the other side of the coin, okay? When it comes to energy, especially especially right now, okay? With everything that's going on, as a light worker and a starseed, by extension of that, as an empath and as a healer, because when you are sensitive to energies, and Archangel Michael keeps on going back to know thyself, know thyself. When you are sensitive to energies, you have to be very aware of this and know and how to differentiate again between what energy is yours and what is not, and that setting up shields of protection around you and reinforcing the strength of your aura is what he's showing me, because essentially that's the same thing. It's really interesting. That's kind of a new way to look at it for me, right? That is that's doing that. That's helping you to be discerning. That's helping you to be able to filter through anything that is, whatever is good for you, whatever is in alignment with your highest and greatest good versus what is not. Okay? Okay. I hope that this has helped in some way. Thank you to each and every one of you who requested this. I hope that I've done it justice because there's a lot that comes up with this. And if you have any questions, please, please leave them in the comments below, okay? This is fundamental. These are the fundamentals of doing any kind of spiritual work, even just meditating. You want to set up a sacred space, whether you're doing readings, whether you are wanting to connect with certain energies. And the other thing I want to say too here is that very, very quickly before I sign off is whenever you are attuning to source and these kind of, really you could say source energy and source frequency and vibration, immediately by doing that, you essentially bring up the energy or frequency of the energy in the space that you're working in. And that in and of itself also filters out any kind of energies, again, that might want to come in for whatever reason, or that are just kind of floating around, that are not in alignment, again, with your highest and greatest good, or whatever you are connecting with, or whomever you are connecting with, okay? So trust that and know that that is the case. And there's little kind of other details when it comes to that as well, because sometimes we can set up sacred spaces when you do so in such a way and you do see scary things, or you do see things that maybe make you fearful, but those are coming up for a reason. And oftentimes know that if you've set up a sacred space with protection, with guardians, with wards, that you will be safe, okay? Oh my God, I could talk about this forever. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. Again, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Some of you were also asking, I think it was Simone that was asking about messaging or doing some kind of, if you have any requests or things like that. I do have an Instagram account, The Libran Key. It's connected, I think, up at the top of this. I have it in the description box. What am I saying? Okay, it's in the description box. So I basically on Instagram, although this might be changing going forward, on Instagram, I basically will post excerpts of what I post here on YouTube. If, however, you do want to send me messages with regard to any questions here, you want a personal question, again, obviously within certain boundaries, okay? Because if you're sending me kind of inappropriate stuff, I'm not really, well, to put it plainly, I don't put up with that crap. So basically, if you want to ask me some kind of question with regard to these videos, go right ahead and do that. You can follow me on Instagram as well at The Libran Key. The handle for that is in the description box below, okay? Okay, am I done now? This is what happens when a Libra gets going on something. Okay, thank you so much for being here. Sending you so much love wherever you are, in love and liberation always.